Welcome to UWS Weekly, a show that is dedicated to covering United Women's Soccer, a national pro-am league with your host, Jonathan Ward. Each and every week, we will highlight players, supporters, and staff of the clubs we all pride ourselves to support in North America. The UWS is a league that is committed to advancing women's soccer. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the UWS Weekly, a show presented to you by Rain Body Fuel that talks about everything UWS and UWS2 in the communities. We're excited as this past year, the UWS and UWS2 has grown leaps and bounds over the course of the last few years. And this year is going to be no different. 2022 is going to be an exciting season for UWS soccer. And tonight, as part of that, I'm excited to have the opportunity to talk to three amazing individuals who are representing our newest club in UWS. And I'd like to welcome Cap City 1847 to the show. Good evening to you. 1847 is going to be represented by Director of Operations, Eric DeLong, Director of Goalkeeping, Stacy DeLong, and Director of Coaching, Dan Jury. Thank you guys for taking the time this evening to join me. How are you?
Great.
Good. Thank you for having us.
Oh, anytime. It's good to have new people in and be able to talk a little bit about soccer. So let's get started on things here. Stacy, we'll start with you, but tell us how you became involved in the game that we all love.
Oh man, several years ago, my brother was playing, and I just saw him out there running around, and I thought I could be just as good as those guys out on the field. So my dad started coaching me up until about 12, and then I jumped into a little bit more of a travel league, and from there I was lucky enough and blessed enough to go play at Michigan State for 4 years, and then stayed on at Michigan State coaching for about 17 years. I just retired from college coaching this past year, so it's been a wild ride.
And Eric, what about you?
I grew up in Traverse City, Michigan, and kind of similar to Stacy, my dad was my very first coach. Wasn't a lot of structure to soccer in Traverse City in northern Michigan, so we started in YMCA soccer and built our way up through and traveling around the state of Michigan as we got older. And I also went to Michigan State and have fortunately 2 degrees from Michigan State. Actually helped start the men's club team at Michigan State, and then kind of progressed from there.
And Dan, how did you get involved with Eric and Stacy for Cap City 1847?
Oh man, we go back to competing clubs years ago. When I moved back here, we were both the three of us were coaching at different clubs. Eric and Stacy at one club, and myself across town at the competitor. And we had a great relationship though with the coaches across the clubs there, and we got to know each other that way. And then eventually the club that I was with joined their club, and we coached together for several years. And after a while, we just, we decided that we wanted to do something a little bit different, create a different club culture for the kids here in the area. And so the three of us set about creating Cap City, and we've been together now for really 8 years since we started. We're in our 7th year of playing.
So if you look at this and you think about it, 2014 is when Cap City really made its grounded its roots, but it's just recently that you guys joined UWS. What got you interested or motivated to actually start this club back in 2014?
Go ahead, Dan.
Well, we looked around the landscape in the area, and we weren't really thrilled with what was going on. We thought there were some things missing that really need to be important in youth sports. And, so we sat down, the three of us, and came up with a mission statement that was to elevate the landscape of youth sports through the daily player experience. And that was kind of how we went about creating everything within Cap City. And even back then, this was something we wanted to do. We wanted to have a women's team and a men's team be part of the developmental pathway for our kids here in the area.
Well, so looking at the roster, the season starting here in May of 2020, so you have some time, but you have established some athletes who play for the club. How soon are you looking to get started with the roster build for UWS season, and or perhaps the makeup of the club?
I think the quicker, the better for us. We are lucky to be in Michigan, the beautiful state of Michigan, and we are surrounded by a ton of great universities and colleges in which we can draw players from. So I think that's very exciting that we have such great soccer all around us. And obviously the club, biggest, support system there, and the families in the community around us. So I don't know if Dan and Eric want to elaborate on that, but I just know, speaking from the college game, that there's an incredible amount of awesome players around us.
Eric or Dan, anything to add to that?
I think, for me, the other thing is, and we've had, fortunately, some very high-end players come through Cap City that have gone on and are currently playing at the Division I level and Division II and Division III levels. And I think, instantly we have a resource there that we might be able to connect with some of those players and bring them back into the fold, which for me would be terribly exciting. Then obviously we have enough connections with other college coaches across Michigan, that we're going to start to reach out to them and see if we can find, the right fit for us and see if we can develop the best team that we can.
Dan, you kind of touched on it a little bit to start, but what is the overall mission of the club?
Yeah, it's to elevate the landscape of youth sport and the daily player experience, or through the daily player experience. And we want to make sure that we're using youth sports as the powerful tool that they can be to develop people, not just players. And I think the women's team gives us an opportunity to bring in players that embody those character skills that we're trying to impart on our younger kids, and give them role models to look up to and see that to reach a higher level of play, it's not just about the skill that you possess on the field, but it's about the type of person that you are as well. And touching on the player recruitment aspect, and that's going to be part of it, is identifying those types of players that we want to bring in that aren't just going to be successful on the field, but that are going to be role models and want to be role models that our younger players can look towards.
So I have to ask, you guys are going to be playing in a division that has recently lost the likes of Lansing United and Midwest United, but you have Detroit City, you have Corktown, you have teams in Illinois. What's this season going to look like, or what is the goal for the inaugural season of Cap City with some of these great organizations?
Well, I think we want to put out a competitive product. Sorry, go ahead, Stacey.
No, you're good.
No, they're good.
Oh, we want to put out a competitive product. We want our families in the area, not just Cap City families, but all the soccer families across mid-Michigan to want to come out and see the women play. And you have to have a competitive product on the field for them to want to come back. An exciting style of play, players that are going to embody the same characteristics as our community. This was a GM town for a long, long time before they left, but you still have a lot of, blue collar, gritty people that appreciate hard work and resilience and all that. So I think that's where we start. And, we hope we can be competitive in our first year, especially with DCFC and Corktown, and seeing how they play and being part of the Lansing United coaching staff the last couple of years. We know we've got a lot of work to do to compete with those teams.
So there's a lot of other avenues in which you guys could have gone as it related to semi-professional soccer or remain in the ranks of the recreational world. What drew the organization to UWS? I
think, and not to speak on behalf of Dan and Eric, but I think the three of us, the game has given us so much in our lives. It's given us friendships, relationships, education, world experiences. And I think the fact that we've always wanted to give back, and that's kind of been the mindset: give back to the player, give back to the family. And if you take a look at the UWS and what their goals and their missions are, to create that exciting pathway for females in soccer and to grow the female game, I think that it just naturally aligns with some of the thoughts we had in terms of why we started this club, and just to give back and to grow the game and to make sure that females around the area know that there's an avenue that they can excel.
I know you guys already have, players that you've been working with through the system and through the years. So there's kind of that idea, but what kind of player are you looking for as tryouts come along for the inaugural campaign of Cap City Soccer?
Dan, you can take this one.
Yeah, we sent out a notice to our club today to the families, and what we touched on with that was, we want players that are going to value hard work and grit and passion, desire. Players that really they want to be here. They understand that, yes, this is a summer league for a lot of college players, but there's a lot of players that are looking to use this as a pathway to that next step. So, players that are going to be committed and want to come in here and work hard. And then at the same time, players that understand they're going to have a lot of eyes of young female players on them, and they're going to honor that as well, and understand that they're role models, and take part in after game celebrations with the kids. Get involved in community camps and clinics and things like that. So, really players that have a true passion for the game, helping grow the game, just like, what we're trying to do, just like UWS is trying to do. I think that's where it starts, and trying to find the right people fit, and then looking at how do we build a roster in terms of positions and skill sets and depth and all that.
We talked a little bit about it within the goal of the organization for the inaugural year, but what's going to separate Cap City 1847 from everybody else, not just in your region, but UWS in general?
I think the general focus all along has been on the total person, to help develop a person that can contribute positively in society. And that's been the aim, that's been the focus. And soccer is a wonderful vehicle for that. And I think if we continue to stress how important it is, and it's such a privilege to be playing for us, that we'll start to see maybe we could separate ourselves a little bit and create our own identity within the UWS, that this is who we are, this is why we're here, and this is what we're about.
So let's wind it back to 2014 when you guys first started the club. Did you find the process to be easy? Was there some hiccups and speed bumps that you hit?
I think honestly, as you start any organization, there's challenges to it. And trying to sort through, that growing pains and the growing process. I think the fantastic thing that we did with Cap City was we tried to make it scalable so that we could be successful with 2 teams or 30 teams. And our very first year, we actually started with just around, I think it was, 14, 15 teams, just around 200 kids. A matter of 7 years, we're close to 600 kids in the club. We have 34 teams this year. And really the best part is our culture really hasn't changed. And I think that's the thing that we're most proud of. And, I think it's an easy thing that we can bring in this women's team and make that a part of our culture and make that a part of our pyramid and our development pathway, like Dan talked about. And saying there's no question that as we've grown, you have your ups and downs, but I think the best part is that we've had great retention, we've had great following, we've had great success in the way that people talk about us. And honestly, I think that's what we're most proud of.
I think to add on, one of the coolest things, in my personal opinion, being a female, is that from early on, we understood the importance of having female coaches as role models. And in today's game, in college recruiting and going to youth soccer tournaments, for the past 17 years, you don't see a lot of female coaches. It's very hard in this day and age to be a working mother and a coach, and just to get those females back involved. And we stress that we want a female coach involved in each age group in our club. And you just don't see that anywhere where we have, I don't know, Eric or Dan, could you answer how many female coaches we have in the club right now?
Right now we have 7 or 8. Over our 7 years, though, we're probably closer to 20 to 22 that we've brought in and that have had an introduction to coaching, as well as moved on to coaching at a higher level at a college program or what have you. So not only have we been able to develop players, but we've been able to develop coaches too, and that's been fun for us, seeing that growth. And honestly, one of our goals with the women's team is to have a female coach. I think that's hugely important for kind of having a face of the organization and having that representation and having our female players connect to that, on the team, as well as our young female players within the club.
One of the main questions I get asked as the director of community engagement is how is the process? How easy, or what advice would you give me to start a club? So let me ask the people who actually have done it, what advice would you
Absolutely.
give to other individuals who may be looking to start an organization, not just UWS, but an organization to give their son or daughter an opportunity to play at another level, or even, they may be looking for a new club and the parent wants to start it. What kind of advice would you give for that individual?
I think the best thing that we've done in terms of developing the club, growing the club, developing different programs is, at the end of the day, putting the kids first and making sure that whenever we're making a decision, is it the right decision for the kids? And is it going to improve their experience? Is it going to improve youth sports for them? And I think at the end of the day, if you can answer yes to that question, if you're going to set about developing a club, then you can do pretty well. And I think the three of us have, constantly had that at the forefront and tried to remind each other of it, and made sure that whatever we do, whatever programs we start, it's going to benefit the kids, and they're going to be the ones that get the most out of it. And it's not about the parents, it's not about the coaches, it's not about us as club directors, but it's always going to come back to, is this what's right for the kids?
And we've seen we've had a lot of success in that. And it wasn't about what everybody else was doing. It was about what we were doing. And we've been involved in clubs that there's a lot of ideas, or we should do this or that, or we've got to keep up with them over here. We've got to go over there. And it's, as long as at the end of the day, we were focused on ourselves and that daily player experience, like Dan spoke about, we've had success.
So let me ask you, I'm a big community guy. Everything around me revolves around that. But what impact do you think your organization has had on the local aspect of the organization or club?
I mean, if you're talking just in what type of community interactions we've had several, and they've been so rewarding. One of the cool things we do is in Lansing, it's known as what's known as the River Trail. Okay, so we're out. There's a beautiful river that runs through Lansing, and we head out once a year when we go help clean up the river trail. We take all of our teams, and we're on different spots along the trail and cleaning that up. And really, we invite the players and the parents out. During the winter season, we have adopted over 200 foster children, and we've arranged and engaged that over the holiday season, where our families are in that giving back to the foster children, and we try to do little things like that. And Dan can speak about our other cool events that took place at Soccer Zone. Dan.
Yeah, we were invited. One of our first years, we were invited to come help out and provide mentors for the Capillary Down Syndrome Soccer Association. They do a clinic at Soccer Zone over a number of weeks, and they invited us out. And I mean, our kids absolutely loved it. We bring our high school girls teams out there because here in Michigan, high school girls are playing club in the fall. But our players get so much out of that, and to see them out there running around with these kids and giving back to the game in a small way has been outstanding. And they ask about it every year. Unfortunately, for the last 2 years, we haven't been able to do it because of COVID. But we still get asked about it. Are we going to get to do this again this year? Or when do we get to go out? When is it our turn? And, there's some age restrictions on it. And we've got younger players who are constantly asking, well, when are we old enough to go and give back like this? And I think, the river trail is great. We've had people kayak by us while we're out cleaning up and thank us for doing it. The foster kids gift giving is great. Unfortunately, we don't get to see the kids that we're helping, but in the case of the CASDA clinic, we're right there with the kids, and we're right there with the people that are benefiting from it. Not just those players, but our players as well. And seeing the interactions has been extremely rewarding. I think to me, it's my favorite one that we do.
So I got to ask kind of a reverse question on this is, how big of an impact will the community have on the growth of the UWS club?
I don't know that it can be measured. I think, I think it is the one metric that would determine, if it's successful. If we've got people coming out to games and supporting the team, then we can be successful. If we don't have the community involvement and we don't do a good enough job engaging the community and giving them a reason to come out and support the team, then we won't succeed.
A last question for you guys, and then we'll let you guys get on your evenings. I know it's late back east, and Michigan State football is pretty hot right now, so you got to get geared up for that game Saturday. What does community mean to each of you?
I think for me, community is all about the relationships established in, putting other people before your own interests. I think it's been incredible to see the club and all the different children from different socioeconomic backgrounds, different demographics come together and unite under a banner and really just take each of their separate communities and unite under one front. It's been amazing. I just think community is all about people around you, not just you, but all the people around you.
Yeah, I was going to echo that. That's where, and we have some pillars of Cap City, and one of them is people. To me, your relationship building and the relationships that last a lifetime, you're sometimes the most rewarding thing that you get from the sport. We're hoping that obviously through the women's team, we can build some great relationships and, carry that forward. And years down the road, we can remember those things. And, that's where you really get a base of a community, is how you build it from year to year. It's not just doing it once, it's doing it over and over and over, and having that consistency and, quality relationships and quality people around you.
Yeah, I don't know that I can say much else. I think they put it very well. I mean, we're the benefit. We benefit from our both our soccer community and our community here in Lansing, the Lansing area as a whole. As we look to build the women's team, we've already had a number of people reach out, and offer their support in different areas of expertise that they might have, from event management to, media and public relations and things like that. So, like as Stacy said, it's the people around you, and as Eric said, it's the relationships that you have with them. And the better that we do with the relationships that we're trying to develop within the Lansing area, the more successful our team will be.
Well, Cap City 1847. You can follow them on Instagram at Cap City Athletic 1847 and on Twitter at Cap City Athletic. Dan, Eric, Stacy, thank you so much for taking the time to join me this evening. I really appreciate it and look forward to covering you guys on the UWS Kickoff Show once the season gets going.
Awesome.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
awesome.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Cheers, you three.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening for UWS Weekly. You can follow all things UWS and UWS2 on their social media pages and send your questions for future shows as well. And don't forget to join Katie, Harley, and Megan this weekend on Saturday for the Our Cup of Tea show Saturday morning. Thank you for watching, and cheers, everyone. Have a great rest of the week.